Hello and welcome to the Hard Etc. Easter's a bloody annoying festival in some ways. I mean, it revolves around chocolate and sticky buns, so that's good, but on the other hand, it's never in the same place twice. It moves about between the end of March and the end of April, seemingly at random. Something to do with the moon, I gather. Curse you! And this year it's now, or rather this weekend. Jesus gets nailed today, has tomorrow off, since it's been a long week, and comes back on Sunday. And here I am, halfway through a three-parter. So, this thing you're watching right now with your eyes and face is not a numbered episode. It's a bonus special, where I'm just going to randomly gawp at some chocolate bars for about 10 minutes so that I feel I've fulfilled my obligation. Okay, go.
Trow, Texan.
Just let me finish this here Texan bar, and I'll be happy to oblige.
Westerns were declining in popularity as a movie genre by the 70s, but the cowboy movie imagery was still a popular standby for products pitched at a younger audience, at least until Star Wars came along. In the case of the Roundtree's Texan bar, ultra-dense nougat encased in chocolate, I'm not sure which came first, the name or the image, or if they arrived simultaneously.
Time sure goes slow when you're chewing a Texan bar. My ma always said I ought to be on the stage. Texan sure is a mighty chew.
This Western hero was a laid-back Doc Holliday type, because they were emphasising how thick and gooey the bar was, to the point where it took forever to get through the bastard. It's a classic tactic of heading off potential pitfalls by turning them into unique selling points. Throw in some straightforward racism, as was inevitable with this sort of imagery in those days, and the adverts make themselves.
Hold on there, bald eagle. You wouldn't fire a man till he finished his Texan bar, would you? Right through the chocolate and chew real slow. Someone should have told him a Texan takes time a chewing. Texan sure is a mighty chew.
Still remembered today and very successful at the time too, with the Texan bar among the most popular around at one stage and still mourned to this day. It was unceremoniously murdered in the early 80s, long before I had teeth, and for no obvious reason. Like I said, it was popular and all. It's still one of the most demanded retro sweets in the country, but it's never been seen since, bar a few months in 2005 when it was brought back for a random nostalgia promotion. Inevitably it was smaller. Remember it this way.
Freeze, Texan! You're outnumbered 7-1.
Hold your horses, boys. You wouldn't finish me till I finish my Texan bar, would you? Bite through the milk chocolate and chew real slow. Guess they must have got cold feet. Texan sure is a mighty chew.
Talking of the heavy-duty thickness, this right here might have been what replaced the Texan.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm not sure, mainly because I can't find out who it was that made the 54321, but it might well have been Roundtree. And it came out in 1982, around the time the Texan was withdrawn, and similarly fits the profile of a thick, chewsome chocolate bar in the Lion or Snickers mold. The difference is that it's the 80s now, so it has to be high concept, futuristically named and packaged, and the premise has to be pushed to excess. And so it is.
Chocolate flavored coating comes first in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
then crunch into light crispy rice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Chew, chew, chew the caramel toffee in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wafer and fondant too.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Congratulations if you've spotted a fetal Rick male. in one of his few pre-fame appearances as an advertorial extra, you win nothing. Even heartier congratulations, although you still win nothing if you correctly identified your actual Paul Jones, paying the bills by singing a knockoff of his own song. Nice when a product name comes with its own pre-made hit jingle. I'm not sure how well the 54321 caught on, to be honest. It was dead before the decade was out, and is dimly but warmly remembered by people my age or slightly older. I think it was quite nice. I remember the advert better than the bar, to be honest. And not even that version of the advert, but the second one, from a few years later, as a sort of soft reboot, replacing the star power of Rick with that of Ted Rogers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
First bite into real milk chocolate.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Then crunch into light crispy rice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, and changing the font on the packet so the 4 actually looked like a 4, not a 9. Not that the advert itself is consistent on this, if you look carefully. It saves time and money to reuse shots from older versions, even if the packaging has changed. If it hasn't changed that much and they're split-second shots anyway, well, fuck it, public won't notice. And they don't.
Choo choo choo, the caramel toffee in.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wafer and fondant too.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, if thick and chewy sugar bombs are the theme, and they seem to be, why don't we look at the daddy of them all, Cadbury's Double Decker? For the uninitiated, this consists of a sedimentary layer of hardcore Texan bar-style nougat, atop an igneous slab of off-brand Rice Krispies, all wrapped up in the obligatory dairy milk. The dual nature of the thing made advertising fairly simple. Lots of half-and-half visual humour, and an annoying jingle made up of the love and marriage song.
Steam and iron, hops and trouble go together like Decker and Double. Waves and surfing, snooker and queuing go together like crunching and chewing. Chocolate, nougat, crunchy flakes and raisins. It's a fascinating combination. Cadbury's Double Decker, Cadbury's Double Decker, Cadbury's Double Decker.
Yes, she did say raisins. For the first 10 years or so, it had raisins in amongst the Krispies. But that was just completely psychotic, so by the mid-80s it was phased out. Plenty of sucrose just in the nougat, for Christ's sake. Cadbury don't want to actually kill people. How do they keep buying their product?
Jet and jumbo, bricks and rubble go together like Decker and Double. Stripes and Sergeant, Punch and Judy go together like Crunchy and Chewy. Chocolate, nougat, crunchy flakes and raisins. It's a fascinating combination. Cadbury's Double Decker, Cadbury's Double Decker, Cadbury's Double Decker.
They stuck with this basic half-and-half premise for a while, although eventually entirely sung through jingles, especially ones based on rewritten music hall songs, were deemed just too quaint to stick with, and they became all about the visual puns instead.
It ain't half a bar.
But really, I'm covering double deckers so I can talk about the brief period when Cadbury's completely took leave of their senses and hired Charlie Chuck as a pitchman. If you're not familiar with him, I'm not surprised. He's not exactly a mainstream comedian, but he was fairly recognisable around the turn of the century for his appearances on the James Whale radio show and the smell of Reeves and Mortimer, when they called him Uncle Peter.
Hey, what are you doing out here? You must bark, donkey.
He was his usual act either way, however, staggering around, bellowing absurdities, bashing on a drum kit, and occasionally bursting into tears. He's both brilliant and quite genuinely terrifying, but not someone you think of to sell a chocolate bar. Nevertheless, they persisted, adapting perhaps his most famous routine, essentially a highly repetitive shaggy dog story that makes no sense and not only goes nowhere but starts there as well, into, well, this.
I went into a sweet shop the other day. I said I want some Cadbury's chocolate, some crispy cereal, some chewy nougat, up there, and a Persian rug. He said, you can have some Cadbury's chocolate, you can have some crispy cereal, you can have some chewy nougat, up there, but you can't have a Persian rug. I said, I want some Cadbury's chocolate, some crispy cereal, some chewy nougat, up there, and a Persian rug. He said, get out, you! Get out of my sweet shop! Don't start showing me up in front of everybody, eh?
The style of the surrounding advert is all a bit, look at me, I'm being surreal, to be honest. Charlie Chuck himself never needed to stretch to that effect. He is the effect. He would have worked just as well in an empty room.
What's back? Confections bar and everything. Back and back. Alright, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Right, one more, now I've got to finish this dead bloke thing. Sticking to the apparent theme of thick, chewy chocolate bars, who remembers this from 1997?
Yeah, my dad thought I was crazy. My first car was a 57 Chevy. The car eating thing, it was by accident. You know, suddenly I was a hero in this little town. I got to the point where I had a sponsorship with advertising. I had a TV show they were talking to me about. Then I discovered this new Maverick Bar with biscuit, toffee, raisins, and caramel covered in chocolate. I haven't eaten a car since.
Because I don't. I certainly don't remember the chocolate bar itself at all. And although memories of this weird advert did come flooding back after finding it on YouTube, it was always on between Friends and Frasier on Channel 4 on a Friday, it was mostly about how off-putting and unappetizing it was, and how little it inspired me to check out the product. It's an original angle, if nothing else. Presumably the inspiration is Michel de Tito, aka Monsieur Mange-Tout, a Frenchman who seriously and genuinely could and did eat metal. Once had an entire Cessna 150. I even kind of respect the makers of this advert for the unflashy, matter-of-fact documentary take on their man who eats cars. But then again, that's something of a problem in advertising terms. It's too, of all things, elegaic and wistful to effectively promote a snack food. You don't buy a chocolate bar because it reminds you of the good old days of the travelling American sideshow. You buy it because it's delicious, and preferably more so than a car. Speaking of which, I'm surprised it doesn't have some small print reading "Do not attempt," considering such a thing is included next to anything even vaguely imitable, no matter how stupid and or technically impossible. I mean, I know this was almost a quarter of a century ago, but even that... Wait, really? Jesus Christ, we're all dying slowly.
Fills you up like a Dodge. Tastes as good as a 66 Mustang.
Right, well that's your lot for this Easter. I hope you enjoyed our truncated chocolatey adventures. I know I've enjoyed making 2 episodes in 1 week because I didn't look at the calendar hard enough. Good times. Happy Easter, eat eggs, whatever. You've been watching a Bob the Fish production. Thanks! If you haven't found it already, be sure to check out our website at bobthefish.org.uk. Literally hundreds of videos not unlike this one that will make you laugh, think and realise new things or your money back. Which works out great because they're all absolutely free. All of this is possible thanks to the not unique way that Bob the Fish productions are paid for by you, the viewing public, via Patreon. For a donation of as little as £1 a month, not only do you ensure that I still have food and shelter so I can carry on making these programmes, but you could become eligible for a whole host of cool extras. New video essays, special event live streams, all my content a week in advance, and my book on the history of the BBC, Rule the Waves, chapter by chapter as it's written. And some cake, if you go out and buy a cake and eat it while you're watching. And if you don't want to support on a monthly basis, you can make a one-off donation via coffee. It all helps stave off scurvy. bobthefish.org.uk. You make it what it is.